Welcome into another edition of The Walk-Off. He's Collyn Taylor. I'm Mike Uva. Collyn, let's get straight to it. Who is your hitter of the weekend against Clemson?
A lot of choices. Could have gone with Carson Horning for the big swing. Could have gone Gamecocks for the 2 homers. Could have gone Cole Messina. But I'm going to give it to Talmadge LaCroix. A big swing yesterday to tie things up at 3 and set the stage for the comeback win. And then today has the big solo shot, another RBI single. Really cool for an in-state kid who grew up around the rivalry and grew up around it to have that moment and homer at home and get to celebrate that with this fan base. And playing really well for South Carolina right now from an offensive standpoint. So I'll go him.
From offense to the mound, who's your pitcher of the weekend?
I mean, anyone else but James Hicks. I mean, come on, it's James Hicks. 5 innings, 2 hits, 6 strikeouts, 53 pitches in 5 innings. Completely and totally dominant. I mean, you can make a case for SEC pitcher of the week, even though he only threw 5 innings. I mean, was just absolutely electric and helped just settle that game down. Clemson had a bunch of runners on in the first 4 innings. Jack Mahoney pitched out of some jams. But James Hicks comes in, and it was just absolutely smooth sailing for, I mean, nearly all of his outing. He was nearly flawless and gave South Carolina exactly what they need. And really cool moment for him. He got injured and tore his UCL a week before the Clemson series last year. Watched it from Texas and got to have this moment and pick up a win in a series-clinching win.
All right, before I go blind from the sun here, 11-1, 2 straight wins. You lose on Friday. You're able to bounce back. You got the Citadel coming into town on Tuesday. Before you get into SEC play, you got the Citadel. Then you got one more non-conference weekend, and then you get into SEC play. Before we talk about next weekend, Tuesday, what do you want to see from this team after what you saw from this past week against Clemson?
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but just consistency. Just consistency.
You're going to say just win.
No, I mean, winning is first and foremost. That's the given, but consistency. Can you know.
It's like Mark Davis over here.
Yeah. You come off this emotional series win. You fight through adversity, losing on Friday to win the next 2. And now it's, the Citadel, which is another in-state school. But can you jump and start fast? Can you muster up, the energy and the offense and all the things that go along with it to not only win the game, but just show more, show the similar consistency, taking good at-bats, doing all that. Because it's easy to have a letdown in a midweek after an emotional series win. Can you just hit copy and paste and play well, clean baseball? And like to see some improvement defensively. There were some times where there were some times where there weren't great defensive plays or plays that could have been made in South Carolina. But play well defensively and just be at the same you were pitching.
And you've mentioned defense the last 2 weekends. It feels like I'll throw this in there. Not that anyone cares about my opinions about the offense, but I feel like from an offensive standpoint, one thing I'd like to see is just the consistency where it's not just depending on the home run ball, right? I mean,
stringing stuff together.
Exactly. Because, I mean, look, I know it was a couple of years ago, but just thinking back to that season, maybe I have a little bit of PTSD. I'm sure some Gamecock fans do, where it was just the long ball. And what happens if the long ball is not there, right? I mean, we were able to string together some other things to be able to get the offense going. Of course, as we saw from this past weekend with USC, the long ball was working, and they were able to generate some runs going through the 4th inning. And there's some, as you mentioned on our other program, Extra Innings, that USC could have hit even more home runs. They actually reached out there on the warning track, so we'll have to see what happens on Tuesday. Again, if you're not a subscriber to Gamecock Central, head on over there. Sign up today for just $29.99 to get all your baseball information from this guy, as well as basketball, football, spring football, March 14th, first day of practice. And then, of course, we'll have the spring game on April 15th under the lights over at Williams-Brice Stadium. He's Collyn Taylor. I'm Mike Uva. You guys have been watching The Walk-Off. That's the story here from Founders Park.